Why is your wife acting so different during separation? She used to be an amazing mother, an amazing wife, but now it's like a switch has just flipped in her head and you don't recognize her anymore. Now, if we haven't met each other before, my name's Luke Finn and I'm the founder of the ARC System, where we help dads transform a marriage in crisis into a new unbreakable marriage. And today I'm going to be sharing with you 3 tips to help you navigate this situation when your wife has completely changed her behavior and you're finding it difficult to navigate it. And I won't be doing this alone because today I'm joined by our ARC Legends. ARC Legends, assemble. How are all you beautiful motherfuckers doing? You good?
Well,
let's get into it then, guys. Awesome. So the question that we have today, guys, is from Tim from the US. And his question is, I'm having difficulty co-parenting since my wife and I separated. I feel like she's prioritizing herself over her family. It bothers me a lot. Trying to keep things friendly, but it's not helping. So, guys, starting off here. So why is Tim's wife acting differently? Why don't we cover that first? This is a very common issue. We see it all the time with guys coming into the ARC system. Their wife used to be the best wife in the world, and all of a sudden, like I said, it's like a switch just flips, and you don't recognize her anymore. Cowboy, what do you think it is from your side? Why do you think their behavior changes so drastically during a separation?
they plain and simple, they've already checked out. They're already moving on to their next life. I really think it's just a defense mechanism. They don't have to deal with or confront the issues at hand between you and her, and quite frankly, she doesn't want to deal with it.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for sharing that, Cowboy. What about yourself, Falcon? Why do you think wives act so differently? It's a very good point. Cowboy said that it's because, well, she's checked out and she's already moving on with her life, so she's done. Why do you think women seem to switch? Like they check out, want a separation, and then you don't recognize them anymore?
Well, yeah, I mean, she probably already detached emotionally, probably for months, even years, that's why she appears like cold, distant. And she probably already grieved the marriage, right? So, yeah, that's probably why she's checked out and
Right,
acts
exactly.
cold and distant. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're always left playing catch up when they check out. That's correct. And
Yeah.
Knight Rider, what about from your side, man? Why do you think the behavior changes so drastically?
I think from our point of view as men, we think it's dramatic because one day to us, they will check out. But actually, exactly what Falcon and Cowboy both alluded to, it would have been on their mind for weeks, months, maybe even a couple of years. So from the wife's point of view, she's checked out slowly over a longer period. And then when you try and have communication, as in Tim's case, in the question today, as to why is she acting differently, it's because the emotional safety that was once in the relationship has been absolutely eroded from her point of view. She no longer feels emotionally safe, so then she's coming across as a completely different version to the one that Tim or any of us would know with regards to our wives. And that's why she does come across as acting differently and almost cold. And yeah, it's quite normal. It's quite common.
It's very common, yeah. And you're completely correct there. And it can be a very frustrating time when you all you want is to discuss the issues, but it's like you don't recognize them. Another point that I would add to this, though, as well, is it's a sign when your wife is acting like you don't recognize her, like a totally different person. It's actually showing that she's not dealing with the situation very well. So all you guys that are in the ARC system, of course, we spend weeks working on emotional regulation, emotional mastery. Your wife, when she checks out, is probably blaming you for everything, and going out having a good time and just wanting to be done with it. Like Cowboy said at the beginning, she wants to put this in her rearview mirror, and this can be very, very challenging. But it's ultimately a sign that at some point she's going to have to face reality. And the mistake that a lot of guys can make is trying to push to get a resolution when she's acting this way. You don't control your wives. Right? We have to let her sort herself out. All we can do is focus on ourselves. And as you guys know, it's extremely challenging when your wives are acting differently, right? It's it's difficult just to stay calm and keep your shit together, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's move on then to the next question. So, why, guys, do you think why do we act friendly? So, it seems to be a very common thing that we see with all you guys. We call it nice guy syndrome, right? Everybody comes into the program and you're a nice guy, you're a nice guy. You act as a nice guy. So you act friendly. Why do you guys think? Let's start off with you, Cowboy. Why do you think we as men try to be friendly when our wives check out of the marriage?
It's reactionary. It's reactionary to the issue at hand. Like your wife wants to, or your wife checks out. She's on her way out, and your natural reaction is like, wait, I got to stop this. So you, being a man, you want to fix it, and the way we fix our problems is we facing it head on, and it's okay, she's upset, let me make it so she's not upset. Let me do this so she's not upset anymore. Let me do this, so like basically being a show pony.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is you like, we go into this whole fixer, and right, that's the problem, and this is how we fix it. So that's why I'm going to be nice to her. Okay, it makes a lot of sense. What about yourself, Knight Rider? Why do you think that we fall into this trap of being a nice guy and be friendly?
It's just an automatic human reaction, particularly from a man's point of view. We see it as our job to fix the problem. And actually, it's the worst thing we can attempt to do in this situation, because what we're trying to do is fix a problem that isn't ours to fix. The better solution is to take the step back and create space for our wives. And actually, you have to focus on stop trying to fix the other person. You have to focus on, making sure your own house is in order. It's a much more effective way of dealing with it, because you're also trying to deal with someone who is emotionally detached and shut down from ourselves. So anything that we attempt with good intentions is not interpreted at the other end with those good intentions. Is kind of interpreted as almost a threat, and it makes the situation worse. So for me, you have to take a step back, detach, and create space in this situation.
Yeah, right on, Knight Rider. And as we say in the program, we like to talk about, I know we hear detaching a lot, it's out there a lot, but we focus on giving space, right? Like you said, to heal, because it's extremely traumatic when your wife pulls away and she is acting totally different. That's traumatic as fuck. So rather than trying to chase after her and trying to fix something, like Cowboy said, we got to focus on ourselves. We got to focus on ourselves and get ourselves grounded before, fix ourselves before we try and fix the marriage. Falcon, what about you, man? Why do you think we have a tendency to act friendly?
Yeah, instead of like actually voicing out and being authentic about your hurt, and setting your boundaries, what you're actually doing, you're overcompensating with friendliness. On the surface, it looks like you're peacekeeping everything, but what you're really doing, you're suppressing all your fear, your anger, your and really what you're trying to do is not, create more chaos. So that's why you're overcompensating with friendliness, which is not healthy at all.
Right, exactly. And like you covered here, why is it actually a mistake then, guys? Why do we think that acting friendly is a mistake? Because it never works. I have not seen anybody in the years of doing this act friendly and create a new unbreakable marriage. I've seen guys act friendly and marriages, so things get worse. Like Falcon, you talked about for it to devolve into even more chaos. Why, guys, do you think it's a mistake for men to be acting friendly during a separation?
Wives don't think it's genuine behavior. They think, I think Cowboy used the terminology show pony. They think it's all an act to try and win them back. So they're not trusting that we're being authentic.
Yeah, exactly. Cowboy, what about from your side?
You start acting friendly, you really, again, it's reactionary. You're really opening the door for her to just kind of take control of everything. You're really opening the door for her to just take control of your emotions, your state of mind, your well-being, everything. And it's really just kind of giving all your power away, and you don't have, like, you're not giving yourself any room to stand. You're not giving yourself any solid ground to stand on. And it's a really difficult cycle to get out of once you get into that, because then you start acting friendly. She starts getting like she starts taking advantage of that, and then you start feeling resentful, and then a big argument ensues, and then you start acting friendly again, and then you just start that cycle all over again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you think about it, I mean, I do understand why so many men do it, because you think about, I'm going to be friendly. Like first, I mean, there's even a saying out there, like, before you get into a relationship, be friends first before becoming, getting into a relationship with someone. But I don't disagree with that when you're starting off a relationship, but in a marriage, when she checks out, the last thing you need to be doing is becoming a friend, because she's already made it clear what she wants. You're not listening to her, and that's why you're trying to act friendly, because you're not listening to her. You're trying to force an outcome, which is to save the marriage and stop a divorce as quick as possible. And like you said, the word you use there, Cowboy, really hit. You give your power away. That's really right on, man. I completely agree with this. Now, guys, if you're enjoying this conversation that we're having with our ARC Legends today, do us a favor, smash the like button and help us reach more people. And it's so important to be around a community of awesome badasses like our ARC Legends. If you are going through a separation at the moment and you would like some support, the link down to our free Facebook community is down below. Click that, join our community today, and you get to be around great guys like you're seeing here on our session today. Falcon, what about from your side, man, then? So just to go back to that, yeah, why do you think it's not working then?
Yeah, I think it comes across inauthentic, like, you're putting a lot of pressure of being, look at, like Cowboy was saying, like, I'm show pointing, and it comes across as a hidden agenda.
Yeah.
And then, it really, what you're doing, it really reinforces her detachment from you, right?
Right on.
Because you're not being your true self. And instead of dealing with your real emotions, with the real hurt and the fear and the betrayal, this playing the nice guys keeps you in like a pleasing mode. And it doesn't really come across as a real authentic, magnetic, independent man that you want to be, or that you have to be for your marriage.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well said. We also got now Dan, another one of the ARC Legends, joining us today. Dan, great to have you on the session today. Morning, listening at work. Dan, we hope your boss is not watching this, so enjoy. All right, guys, and let's help Tim out here. Tim's question regarding, why his wife is acting different. Let's give him now the 3 tips on what you can do when your wife is acting different during a separation. So first thing we got to do, guys, is we got to address that behavior. We can't just let it slide. So number 1, we got to regulate your emotions. You've heard that a lot today from our ARC Legends on our session today about how important it is to stop trying to force an outcome, process the emotions, because most guys are trying to rush a reconciliation. They're scared shitless of losing their marriage. And I get that. Nobody wants it. It's an extremely difficult situation. But if you don't regulate your emotions, you're going to self-sabotage. And this can show up as you getting angry. It can show up as you getting frustrated, because like Cowboy said earlier, when you're trying to be the nice guy, it builds up this cycle of you're being nice to her. She starts taking advantage of you. It's all subconscious. Like, it's not like she's constantly trying to take advantage of you. It's just the dynamics in the relationship. It's an unhealthy dynamic. Also, the fact that you're acting friendly is an unhealthy dynamic. So you can see how you build up this whole unhealthy dynamic. And when you're acting nicely, she's taking advantage, or you feel like you're being taken advantage of because you're letting her do it. Then this frustration builds up. And this is where self-sabotage comes in. Rather than what you need to be doing, guys, is like working on going deeper. Is what we do in the ARC system, is working on what's really going on here. If we go down below those emotions, how many times do we do the shadow work, guys, on, the feeling of being powerless and hopeless, right? That's something that pretty much all men face when their wife checks out of the marriage and she's acting different during the separation. But unfortunately, the marketing that's out there at the moment, everybody's talking about how to save your marriage, do this, and it's all manipulation tactics rather than really helping men process this traumatic time. Guys, what difference did it make for you guys in the ARC system when you started going, rather than just reacting like Cowboy talked earlier, the knee-jerk, getting angry, getting frustrated? What shifted for you guys when you started going in and doing that shadow work that we do, and started, working on where you feel powerless, where you feel things are unfair? Why don't we start off with you, Falcon? how did things shift in your life once you stopped reacting and stopped trying to fix the marriage and just focus on yourself and what you were going through, that traumatic time that you were going through?
Yeah, I mean, actually, doing the shadow work for me was like the turning point for me. Actually recognizing, because I was able to go into like my patterns, and I was able to understand more of myself and the things that I was experiencing. And to the follow up to that was, recognizing my needs, right? And how to fulfill those needs, and understand that, it's not up to my wife to fill them up. It's up to me to actually fill up those needs, because that's my responsibility. And
Yeah.
that's what serves me and my marriage the best. And so that, to me, that was my turning point.
It makes a lot of sense. And then looking back on it, Falcon, so you've obviously stepped up into a leadership position within the ARC system, and you're mentoring guys in the program now. Looking back on your journey of over a year ago, and we talk about, this chasing after and trying to fix the marriage before we fix ourselves. Now that you're mentoring guys, how is it for you watching guys and they're, like sending messages when it's an anniversary, or trying to get into conversation, push the conversation about the relationship with their wives, because they're getting all these big emotions? How do you feel about it now, looking now with all the wisdom and experience that you have? How is it for you mentoring the guys in the program when you hear them kind of doing these knee-jerk reactions? And I know Cowboy, I've had a good few conversations with Cowboy. Cowboy wants to give some of the guys a slap, and of course we've had plenty of conversations. We want to lead with love in the program, not by smashing the shit out of people. So yeah, Falcon, what's it like for you now, man? After this, like a year in, and because ultimately, when we're chasing after people or after our wives, it's unhealthy. It's an unhealthy dynamic, and that's why you're going to have her taking advantage of you, because you're allowing yourself to be taken advantage. So yeah, share a little bit with us there, Falcon, if you don't mind.
Well, yeah, let me start off by saying that I did everything you just said. I did it.
Yeah.
So I have firsthand experience.
Yeah.
But now looking back, right, and actually going through the program and helping out others, right, that actually that helps me. That gives me confirmation that I actually understand, what it really means to show up. And so sometimes, it may come across like, oh yeah, no, you're looking too much into yourself, or whatever it may be. But in reality, it's like you got to take care of yourself, because everything starts with you. You create your world. And it's funny, because yesterday Evie was talking about this, right? Co-creating your own world. And it's just the way, you got to be the center. You got to be the the lighthouse. You can't be all over the place. You can't be chasing. You can't be trying to get answers. It's everything will flow. Everything will come in at its right time, at its right place.
Yeah, right on. And ultimately, you guys know that actually the issues that you're having in your marriage, or were having in the marriage, are an opportunity for you guys to work on yourself, right? It's actually, this had to come up in one way or another. It's a way to heal from the trauma from the past. It's a way to lead an empowered life, to lead your family. So it was going to come up one way or another. It just happened to manifest in relationship problems. But I think, yeah, it makes a huge difference, Falcon, when we stop complaining about it and embrace the journey of healing and working on ourselves, right? And being the creator. Well said. What about you, Cowboy, man? How did things shift for you when you started focusing on, rather than just being reactive, but really going into that deep work of where you were feeling powerless, where you were feeling hopeless?
Oh man, where do I start on this one? So as soon as I decided to take the reins and stop playing the victimized mentality, stop playing the victimhood, that is all too common with this situation, is when things really started shifting. I'm trying to. I'm not gonna spend too much time like trying to think of one specific case. But anyway, as soon as I took those reins, I essentially started taking back my control immediately, and the response was almost immediate from my wife. It was kind of like she hit a wall. I was like, "Hey, what's going on here? You're not giving me the same kind of reaction that um, that you normally give me," and it really kind of I think it caused her to take a step or two back and really kind of evaluate what was really going on, because now what she was used to was being shaken up. So as soon as you stop operating fear and hopelessness, and and in that victimized mentality, you really, yeah, it really opens the door and gives you an opportunity to take back your power immediately and in a very non-aggressive kind of way.
Yeah, because you're changing the dynamic, right? As in, always takes two. There's a dynamic. You know, I saw somebody posting on social media the other day complaining about exactly being taken advantage by being a chauffeur or a wallet, is how he described himself. And I asked him, so what point are you going to decide to stop being a wallet and a chauffeur? Like, if there's two people in the dynamic, stop being a victim. Of course, so there's men and women that don't behave well, but we are only in control of our own thoughts, emotions, and actions. But but with the way we're showing up, it obviously has a huge impact on the dynamics, and that's what you're talking about there, Cowboy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well done. Okay, man. Then on to the second step, guys. Here, so is stop trying to be your friend and speak to the issues. So this is really, really important. Your wife is not your friend; she's your wife. Last thing you want to do is end up in the friend zone. You need to give her space so you can heal, but you can also need to speak to the issues in the marriage. Too many guys feel like they focus on, okay, how do I not lose, than rather, how do I win? In this program, in the Arc System, we're all about helping you create a new unbreakable marriage. And that means having difficult conversations, right? Cowboy, I know for you, man, you had, again, that experience of where you started working on the marriage, you gotten past, you'd weathered the storm, but then you felt like that something, you had to bring up something that you wanted to resolve with your wife from the past, but you knew that it was going to cause shit in the marriage, but you had the courage to actually talk about it. And I remember helping you navigate that last year, and it was quite difficult, but how did things shift in your marriage once you had the courage to talk about things, in your opinion, that were not okay, that needed a change from her side?
So, like you said, at first it was it created a whole shitstorm. But when I did bring that up, when I did finally address that issue, that was the last remaining piece of that old relationship that I really needed to destroy and get rid of, and that's essentially what I did. I took that foundation out. That foundation finally crumbled, and I was able to rebuild a new one with the new relationship moving forward. And it wasn't immediate. There was
Took time, right? Yeah.
there was some patience that had to happen. There was a lot of grace that needed to happen, like a lot of grace that needed to give myself, and just a lot of space that I had to hold for my wife as she processed everything, as she went through everything, and then like just staying authentic to myself and staying authentic to what I was talking about at the time, like what I was doing at the time, allowed her to process things in her own way, and she could see eventually that, okay, this is the new standard. This is the standard that we're gonna have moving forward. And eventually, she did come back around, and we had a couple of long, difficult conversations, where I had to come like finish with all the little nitty gritty details, which, let's face it, was really uncomfortable and probably is for many other men. But once those details came to light and once we were able to discuss that, then we were able to both rebuild that foundation together.
Wonderful. And I think from having that difficult discussion, it also takes all the responsibility off your plate. A lot of the men coming into the program, I think we have just rock stars in our program. I think we can all agree. We have our ARC legends. We have the most amazing guys in our program. And so they're not victims. They're coming in. They want to clean up their side of the street. But a mistake that we can make, and we see happening many times, is where we take all the responsibility. And so, like for you, Cowboy, you came in, you did the work on yourself, and then you raise the bar in the relationship. But then is Paula going to step up? Is she going to be, because you need two people to create an unbreakable marriage. You know, you can't do it all on your own. And so we can see that's happening with her. Not all wives are going to be able to do that. But that's such an important part where we address the issues to allow them to step up, and you're not taking the whole responsibility like it's all on you. So that's wonderful. Let's move on into the final point here, guys. Is the third step for Tim when she's acting different during a separation is you got to set healthy boundaries. So healthy boundaries are so important. How important have boundaries been in your relationship, Dean, since joining the ARC system? So setting healthy boundaries in your relationship.
Well, you used the correct word there, Luke. It is healthy for a relationship for both partners to have respectful boundaries. Otherwise, you will end up with a situation where one person is, you know, going to start pushing boundaries to the point of they're unhealthy, to the detriment of both the relationship and the other person's mental health. Hence, when you got back to that original question about, you know, you can't be over friendly in this situation, because if you are, you're just going to be agreeing to everything when a lot of what you're agreeing to is not acceptable. And that's where you got to be authentic to yourself. And that's where you will get a better outcome, whatever that outcome turns out to be.
Yeah. And I still remember that shift that you made last year, Knight Rider. And so I appreciate that a lot about you. You came in, it was a really difficult situation. So she'd filed for divorce. And at the beginning, do you remember you were totally focused on her? But then you had that shift where it was like, you know what? You know, I'm in control of my life. I'm not allowing somebody's actions to affect me this way. I'm raising the standard in my life. And that confidence really has shone through. I just want to honor that, man. The way you've shown up over the last year has been incredible, and it's been inspiring for a lot of the guys. We had a couple of ARC legends joining recently, and you've becoming a bit of a celebrity within the program for the way that you're showing up, man. And really, like, creating an unbreakable marriage, guys. It's not, we don't work on saving the marriage or stopping divorce, just, you know, reconciliation. When we do that, it doesn't usually go great because it's fear. We talked about fear. It's all fear, not losing. We work on winning. And that's what I want to, you know, give a shout out to all you guys. So the way you show up every single day, it's all about winning, about giving your best and creating that new unbreakable marriage, which you're only responsible for part of that, and your wives need to do the other part. So just regarding the setting healthy boundaries, let's give the guys a little bit more context. What is a personal boundary? These are the limits that we set to define how others can behave towards us and how we expect to be treated. So they help us protect our well-being, maintain our self-respect, and ensure healthy boundaries. Now, if we go back to what Tim said, we can see he's not doing this. I feel like she's been prioritizing herself over her family, and it bothers me a lot. So he's not happy, but he's trying to keep things friendly, but it's not helping. Well, there you go. There's your answer, Tim. If it's bothering you and you're not addressing it, you're not being authentic, you're not having healthy boundaries. And ultimately what happens is you just, you know, make things worse. And if you're trying to be your friend, you're letting things slide. And the problem here is, guys, that most people don't know how to set healthy boundaries. If you'd like to know how to set healthy boundaries during your separation, you're going to want to watch this next video.